Elon Musk tweeted this morning to hold off the buying of Twitter until data of bots is accurate.
Twitter CEO and Trump spoke out on the acquisition.
And today in the New York City, the largest Chinese American parade reminds us to take a look of a 30-year saga of a meditation exercise. Welcome to Wei and Kathy Show. I'm your host, Wei Fang.
I'm Kathy Zhang.
All right, so today actually we'll bring you a special story. And the story is very much underreported, but it's very relevant to the future of China and possibly the future of the world.
Actually, it's very people in the West free world think it's actually really relates to country like America and Canada and the free world.
Exactly, and today basically the largest Chinese American parade is happening on in the Manhattan, New York. And so why was there such a parade? And who are the people holding that parade? And what's the story behind that parade? That's the feature story we'll bring to you tonight. But before that, let's look at, another major earthquake.
Another bombshell.
Yeah, bombshell. 5 o'clock Austin time. We're talking about Elon Musk's home. Okay, presumably he's living there. At 5 o'clock in the morning, I don't know what he's doing. 5 o'clock, he's not sleeping. He tweeted something, and he said, "I'm gonna hold off buying the Twitter until the data supporting that they only have 5% of bots and spam and fraud account." In the total number of the user. So, okay, let me just interpret this a little bit. Twitter announced that in the last quarter report, they have 229 million users. All right. Now, of course, Elon Musk is buying something. He needs to know what he's going to buy. And then, okay, so what Elon Musk asked in his tweet this morning is saying that really only 5% of bots, 5% spam or fraud account, or do you have more? If we roll the time back to the 2012, there was a media report on Yahoo about the fake account with Twitter. At that time, there's a company. Let's just take an example. Okay, there's a company called Dell Outlet. Dell Outlet has 10,000 Twitter followers. This is a corporation account, and 5,000 of them were fake. Why? Because the marketing department of the Dell Outlet create those accounts so that to appear that their Twitter account looks decent, looks strong, and things like that. And in the same report, and Starbucks is a reputable company, and their Twitter followers, 7% of them were fake. They were talking about 10 years ago. So how accurate Twitter's data is? This is really a big question. But Elon Musk signed up to buy the Twitter, okay, as we all know, and around April 25th, I think. So for $44 billion, that's a lot of money to buy such a company. So then he sent out this question tweet, and mind you that Elon Musk has no PR firm, has no marketing department, and he doesn't have even any sales department. He only believes in product. Produce great product, people will appreciate it. It will sell. So far, so good. All right, so basically, any move by Elon Musk, you go to Twitter to find it out. There's no other official source, or the official source is to Twitter. Okay, so after that, Twitter's stock price dropped by 14%. This is a pre-market opening, price. And after the market opened, 20% drop, altogether 20% drop. 2 hours later, okay, and Elon Musk tweeted again. He said, still committed to the acquisition. So it seems to pacify people, saying that I'm still buying it. So the price come back a little bit. So it closed at 10% down, only 10% down. In the meantime, Tesla's stock price rise up. Apparently, you can tell the investor of the Tesla doesn't like he's buying Twitter with such a big amount of money. But anyway, so to analyze that, so what are the three possible reasons that he sent out such a earthquake tweet? First is indeed there are a lot of bots there, okay? And Elon Musk found it out. He doesn't want to buy something that's not authentic. The second reason is Tesla stock price dropped by 30%. As you know, the general market dropped by 20% in the last 1 month or so. But the Tesla dropped by 30%, okay, which reduced $51 billion of his book, all right? And he needed that book to borrow money against so that he can pay this $44 billion to buy the Twitter. Does that create a financial squeeze on him? Is that the reason that he, back off or put this on hold? Well, it's anybody's guess. The third reason he want to use this opportunity to renegotiate a lower price. So, indeed, what's the reason? We have to look at Elon Musk's Twitter to find out whether there's any update. As of now, about 12 minutes ago, he just tweeted. He said that my team will be finding 100 Twitter followers, and we're gonna analyze ourselves that whether how many bots are there. So he's doing this research by himself.
Okay.
Okay. If he's genuine, which I do believe so, it means that his concern was genuine. He's saying that I want to find out 5% or more before I pay the money. Okay. So in the meantime, today the Parag Agrawal, as you can know, the current CEO of Twitter, is on a hot spot, right? Pretty much Elon Musk is asking, is your data accurate? And then this is the CEO, okay, who carried the responsibility of reporting accurate data. So today he said, I cannot hold off. I need to speak out openly now. You probably were expecting him to give the answer. He tweeted 9 consecutive tweets, and today by this Mr. Agrawal. But if you look through that, so basically saying that I'm doing this, I fired 2 high-level executives. The reason why I did it is because I need to prepare for all the scenario for the future. I need to make the Twitter strong today, and we take pride in our work. We're not just here keeping the lights on, and we're not resting. We're doing diligent work, so on and so forth. 9 tweets with no mentioning about is the data accurate. So that tells you something. Mm-hmm. If he say, to my honest knowledge, the data is accurate, then that at least they dispel a lot of doubts, right? But he did not say that. He tweeted 9 pieces, okay, 9 140 characters without mentioning that. You cannot help wondering, was Elon Musk right? Was his doubt accurate? It's anybody's guess, okay? We still have to wait for the answer to come through, okay? So that's the most recent scoop.
Yeah, so just wonder how our audience, how do you think? Why?
Yeah,
Elon Musk making this move, but because reasonably people would think he would do the due diligence before he made the offer, right?
Yeah.
But then what he the inflated user accounts and the numbers, does it is very serious issue.
Yeah, folks. This is a $44 billion purchase. He better make sure what he will be buying is true, is something genuine, and so this is really a big question mark.
Yeah, and also I think on the other side, since if it's indeed so much inflated, I think it is inflated. That's for sure, right?
It's just how much, yes.
To what extent, and then on the other hand, reasonably people wanted to negotiate a lower price, right? Because plus the stock market's crashing right now.
Yeah, while we are really just collecting how people think, I think this is something really worth thinking about and is worth discussing. So, what's your point of view? Do you think it's indeed it's just fake account, enough fake account, or he ran out of the money with the sharp drop of the stock price of the Tesla, which is his main asset that he either borrow against or just raise money from? So, what do you think? Yeah, what do you think? And
do we have any?
Kitty Hawk, you wrote that he did not get to be the richest man in the world without being shrewd. So you think he knows what he's doing? Okay, and Louis, you wrote that good for Elon red pilling people, to the bots without even owning the company sounds like he's looking for a discount on the purchase price. Okay.
So Louis is more inclining to
The third scenario.
Yeah, for him to make a better deal.
Right.
Yeah.
So what
I think that's reasonable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How about other people? Just I want to get your thought.
Yeah. Anyone thinking maybe Elon Musk wanted to back off the deal?
Yeah.
Is it possible? Let us know.
Yeah, maybe one of you own Tesla, understand him. I got my fans, followers writing to me that you should buy a Tesla.
Channel.
Yeah, you should buy a Tesla because I own too. Through owning the Tesla, you understand how Elon Musk think. So I say yes, if I can afford it. If I can afford it, I cannot afford it apparently at this time. So anyway, so that's really the a big how to say it, earthquake or saga, however you call it, of that. So we'll continue with the updates. So let's move on to the next story. How about that?
Okay.
So today, actually, on the Manhattan Island, okay, there's in the central mid Manhattan, there's this 42nd Street, okay, about 4,000 mainly Chinese American, but actually it's quite international.
Yeah, very diversified.
You got the Caucasians, you got the black, you got Spanish, and all kinds of people, but mainly Chinese American. Okay, over there they started at the 2nd Avenue and 42nd Street, which is the UN headquarters. Okay, then they have a long parade through 42nd Street all the way to 12th Avenue. So about 2 miles long, and the police reserve the road. As a matter of fact, this is the annual largest Chinese American parade in America. And this has been happening for, nearly 20 years, right? And actually, normal time.
23 years.
Yeah, 23 years. Normal time is not 4,000 people. It's probably like 14,000 people. It's very large because it's an international event, but due to the COVID, to the travel restriction, only 4,000 people. It's still quite a thing, as you can see. Those people, they are actually the practitioner of a meditation exercise called the Falun Gong. Okay, and what you see now here is it's called the celestial band. Okay, it's a
let's see if we can have
some sound.
Audio out and
could have some sound.
Just have
yeah.
I think its band consists of more than 100 members.
Yeah.
And can you believe they are all amateurs?
Yeah. So what you can read there on the banner says Falun Dafa is good. Falun Dafa is the meditation exercise, and it was founded it was introduced to the public in China in the 1992. So between 1992 and 1999, it was spreading in China in a peaceful and fast way. Okay, and if we
on the banner right now, you see the principles of the practice called the truthfulness, compassion, forbearance.
Right. And the Falun Dafa, Falun means law will. Fa means law, Lun means will, Dafa means great law. So the great law of the law will. That's the literal translation of the name of the practice.
Yeah, so what they are doing is celebrating the spread of Falun Dafa or Falun Gong for the 30th anniversary. So 30 years. So today, we're going to bring you a story about a person actually. He was a PLA official before.
And People's Liberation Army. Okay?
Yeah, started the practice of Falun Gong 30 years ago. Okay, indeed, start from the beginning and how he, why he just never gave up, right?
Yeah.
And he's now live in United States, in Southern California. And also, I will bring you a story of a Westerner who working in Silicon Valley and have been practicing for Falun Gong for 3 years. Okay, 30 years versus 3 years. And what's in common? Yeah.
And this exercise was actually better known for being persecuted by the Chinese Communist Party. And so a lot of people know about the persecution, know much less about what it is, right?
Right.
So that's why we want to bring you the story. It's very worthy to get to know, to explore.
Yeah.
And at the end of the show, hopefully you would agree to what I say.
Yeah. Okay. So first of all, let's see what are the reactions from the people on the New York street, how they feel about the parade.
Okay, so
Yeah,
we're gonna bring a interview of the bystander actually who came across this event,
Yeah,
this,
and by
this parade.
There's a lot of celebration. There's a lot of information about Falun Dafa. So I decided to stop by. And I just want to say that it's very, very tragic what's going on in China, that people are being persecuted just because they believe in God. And unfortunately, that's something that needs to be stopped immediately. So I'm so glad I have the opportunity to come by to support you in some way. And we're very, very happy that you're here and that you're able to practice freely in the United States.
I think compassion is very important, and tolerance. I think it's important in New York City as it should be around the world. And I also think that this is a parade for the mistreatment of Chinese people in China. And I think someone should do something with the Chinese people in China to make sure they treat their people better.
It's very impressive. From one side, they look worried, but in the other side, on the faces, we can see smile and hope. And this is very impressive, and I wish the hope will win.
All right. Yeah. So looks like some of the bystanders they know quite a bit about Falun Gong, what's going on in China, the human rights abuse they have been enduring for the past 23 years, and some for them are the first time to know about it. So maybe it's a mixed kind of understanding of Falun Gong. Probably it's also the same thing among our audience here. So people, I think it's a good opportunity to really let our audience know about a little bit more about Falun Gong back in 30 years ago, right, until today.
Yeah, actually, Falun Gong, all called Falun Dafa, both names refer to the same thing, and it's an ancient meditation exercise. Okay, they involved 5 sets of exercise. Some are sitting meditation, some are like standing meditation. Okay, or slow movement. It was actually passed generation by generation by single disciples. Okay, over the course of the history. Okay, so there's a very ancient root in the Chinese culture and the Chinese tradition. It was in the year of the 1992, and the founder, the founder, the master of the exercise, his name is called Li Hongzhi. Mr. Li Hongzhi started to offer classes, teaching classes in China, and those classes is not actually mainly on the moving exercise, which is only the small part of it. The teaching is more focused on the principles, the theories behind the exercise, which you could summarize that in 3 short words, okay? Truth, compassion, and tolerance.
Yeah, you see in the parade on the banner, they
Right.
always printing these 3 words.
Yeah. So Mr. Li Hongzhi was teaching those classes in China for about 2 years, between the year of 1992 through 1994. So altogether, 56 classes. And altogether, about 70,000 people attended such class. 70,000 people. Okay, mind, just remember that number. However, just 5 years later, within 5 years, the number of people practicing Falun Gong grew to be 70 million, between 70 million people to 100 million people in China.
Yeah, basically explosion.
It's
right?
just an explosion. The reason is 2 reasons. Because first is the tremendous amount of health benefit. The second is the value that the Falun Gong presents to people. Let me elaborate a little bit. Okay, the health benefit. There are quite a few health survey on the effectiveness of the Falun Gong on the improving human health. And then in the October of 1998, we're talking about 25 years ago. Okay, in Beijing there was a very comprehensive survey about the sample rate, sample pool is 12,700 people. Okay, it's a fairly large sample pool, and those people who are practitioners of the Falun Gong, they were surveyed about their pre-exercise health state and their sickness they got, the health problem they got, and the post-practice, what's the effect, what's the improvement. All right, just let me read you the number. It's quite shocking. when I first saw it, it's really shocking, okay? Among those people, okay, who have one or two or three type of illnesses, it's very common, all right? So after they practice Falun Gong, the 59% of them completely recover from the illness that they had before. And then 25%, 24.9% have major improvement. Altogether, you are talking about 99.1%. 99.1% have
So,
improvement or completely recovery from the previous health issues they have.
Yeah. So we are talking about meditation practice that can increase, just improve health for like over 99%.
Right.
Almost 100% improvement.
Yeah, there's another actually major health survey in the city of Wuhan, which is later is an infamous city known for the source of the COVID. But back in the 23 years ago, in the same year of the 1998, the sample rate that was there was 2,005 people. Again, the health improvement rate is 98.65%, nearly 99%. So virtually everybody got cured or they have their health improved. This is the reason Falun Gong was spreading through word of mouth. Actually, it's something grow out of the grassroots. There's no government behind it. There's no, promotion, marketing, things like that. And the teaching of the exercise is completely free. Even today, if you just Google Falun Dafa book, Falun Gong book on the internet, you'll find this website. Every piece of teaching is free. Although you can buy a book from Amazon, but if you want to read from the web, everything's free. It's a free for the public type of exercise. So anyway, over the year of just 5 or 6 years, nearly 100 million people pick it up in China, and because of the word of mouth. The second reason is because of the value. When the communist ideology of the communism pretty much went bankrupt after the Cultural Revolution, people really they have a void in their mind. Okay, in their heart. They don't know what to believe in. Communist is fake. We have to fake it because this is still a communist nation. But when the Falun Gong came along, they saw and learned and appreciate the value of being truthful, being compassionate, and being tolerant. They embrace it. And along with that, the health benefit. So it just spread very, very fast. However, in the 1999, this July of 1999, because of its popularity, this is on the surface reason, okay, it's too popular. It's just unnerved the Chinese government, the top leader, especially the then General Secretary of the party. His name is Jiang Zemin. He simply defined this as a threat. Okay, this is on the surface reason. And the deeper reason, because I've been reporting this for nearly just over 20 years, okay, is the value system conflict with the ideology of the communism. For them to rule, everybody have to abide, and they have to lie. In the country that you lie to survive, 100 million people saying that they only want to be honest. It's very threatening to the regime. How would they rule those people? They have the independent thought, and they believe truth is the answer in life. So anyway, Jiang Zemin started this persecution, and he thought it's an easy ban, okay, because they ban so many groups, they never fail.
Yeah.
Okay, why worry this time? Just do it another time. And
so he declared 3 months, right?
Yeah,
And
he said
it
3
will
months.
eradicate.
We're gonna wipe it
Falun
out.
Gong.
They are fighting for their original word. They are fighting for masses with us. Okay, so our party have to strike back, and he think it's an easy strike. And however, when the police was just banning the exercise and then tell every practitioner, you have to disavow it. This is a piece of paper, sign it, saying this is a bad practice and I will never do it again. Sign your name, we'll let you go. You're free, you're safe, you're not bothered. Just stop practicing. So the practitioner have to lie, to sign that paper, to become safe. So this has become the very, very, crucial conflict of value. I have to lie to practice something that is true, based on the truth. So many people, they just don't sign that piece of paper. So the regime simply never saw and cannot tolerate behavior like this. This is like disobedience, peaceful disobedience. So then the ban turned into a very, very brutal persecution where they rounded up people, throw them into labor camp, and torture them until they sign that piece of paper. thousands of people died in the labor camp and in the prison. So in the meantime, Falun Gong spread all over the world because people got to know the name of this exercise through the news of the persecution. So now the Book of Falun Gong has been translated into more than 40 languages and spread it to over 100 countries in the world. So the Communist Party achieved the exactly opposite to what they intended, which is to wipe out this exercise. So yeah, that's the background story.
Yeah, so then people, really for the past 23 years, right, people always ask this one fundamental question: why the Chinese Communist government persecute Falun Gong? So next we'll bring you, people's personal accounts. And from just listening to them, you may have a better idea. And also, we'll bring you, the 30-year practice of Falun Gong versus the 3-year of practice Falun Gong, by Westerners, and also some of the very supportive of people who supported Falun Gong, the parliament members from Canada, their understanding of why Falun Gong is persecuted and why they came out very strongly to support the rights of Falun Gong practitioners and not really on the surface. So I think it's really worth to hear what they, their understanding. So actually, first, I would like to bring you a story very quickly. Is a lady from China who just came to San Francisco Bay Area over a month ago.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, she said she's from a northern China city, which is called Jilin, and
which was locked down.
Yes, she's so lucky that the 2 days after she arrived, United States, the city was locked down. So she was so appreciative, and her name is Lisa Chen, and so she said she started practicing Falun Gong in 1998. Okay, so that's 1 year before the crackdown by the CCP, and now she can only secretly practice before she came out to the United States. So I asked her, she participated in the Falun Dafa Day celebration in San Francisco last weekend, so I was covering that. So let's take a listen.
法轮大法号战役太壮观了，我激动啊！在中国没有啊，迫害可严重了，到处是便衣警察。
She said it is so severely persecuted that if they know you practice Falun Gong, they will, pry the door, raid your home, and take you away and persecute you. And then, I asked her why you just did not give up practicing Falun Gong, even though under such a persecution.
这我腰那个拽了一下子，我通过练功恢复的可快了，说神奇的力量，谢谢法轮大法师，谢谢法轮大法。
Yeah, so
she hurt her waist.
Her back, severely, but it was like quickly, very, very quickly. She said like it's like a magical. So, and the other benefits, like she really, used to be so angry, always have a very bad temper. It all changed so that her, from the whole family supported her practicing Falun Gong.
Yeah.
So that's Lisa who escaped China just very recently. But next I want to tell you the story because it's the 30 years of Falun Gong's spread. And actually I interviewed a person who did indeed practice Falun Gong for 30 years. And you know what? When he started practicing Falun Gong in 1992, he was not only an active duty PLA officer, but his military rank already reached colonel.
He's a colonel actually in the Air Force.
Yeah.
China's Air Force.
Yeah, so his name is Zhu Liming. And of course, I asked him why he practiced Falun Gong. He really devoted himself to the Chinese Communist government since he was 14 years old. He joined the army when he was only 14, but he worked,
The Air Force.
The Air Force. And then he worked so hard. Okay, he was really devoted to the Chinese Communist Party, and he, his health was just so deteriorated when he was only very young, and there were two problems. He had a severe stomach problem, and nothing can cure. And then also just excruciating like headache because of working. And after after he started to work in the Air Force, like a place that's severe noise, and but he still works so hard. So two severe illness that almost killed him. Nothing can cure, but so he has been searching for a lot of different practices, and finally he founded Falun Gong when Falun Gong was started to spread in 1992. So what kind of a change it brought to him?
练了法轮功以后，大概也就2-3个月的时间，这个胃病头痛的这个症状就没有了。这个是对我。
Yeah, and he said, it's just so miraculously after 2 to 3 months. And because he spent so much money trying to find medicine or just practice all kinds of Qigong, Tai Chi, or practice, nothing really worked. But Falun Gong really worked. So that's just the big. Then he know a lot about the Qigong practice. So starting the next year, the second year in 1993, he in China at that time, Qigong and the Falun Gong was not banned, and there were a lot of Falun Gong articles published all around the country, and he was actually the author, which people don't really know him, right? But he was just contributing to that anonymously because he was a Air Force officer. Then, we as Wei just introduced you, since 1999, the practice Falun Gong was banned, and Zhu Liming, he was one of the lead person who were in front of the Chinese government's Beijing compound.
The compound of Zhongnanhai, which was a peaceful appeal by about 10,000 practitioners in the April 25th of the 1999. To basically, the appeal was trying to address the issue of Falun Gong being discriminated and being, suspected. However, that peaceful appeal, which ended in peacefully too, become the excuse for the government to do the crackdown.
Yeah, so then it moved, the time moved to July 20th of 1999. The widespread of arrest happened in China. And Zhu Liming, because he was one of the leader who, was protesting, and on the eve of July 21st, 1999, he was suddenly, basically arrested.
Yeah.
And then interrogation, everything. They tried to just interrogate him, and just eventually he was forced to retire from the Air Force. So all of a sudden, everything.
He lost everything.
He lost everything.
His status, his reputation, his income, and everything's gone just overnight.
Yeah, and he was even, really, they imprisoned him and tortured him, but he never gave it up. And why is that?
我自己的亲身体验呢，这个不是说，别人说了怎么样，那这个就是非常的明显，所以从那以后吧，我基本上说别人说什么，我自己心里头，一直都是坚定不移的，我不这个态度从来没有改变过。
Yeah, so that's Zhu Liming's story. Now he lives in Southern California. He lost everything, the ordinary people would really care about, but for him, he never changed his attitude. And then just in San Francisco last weekend, I met another person, Kevin Sneed from Silicon Valley. He's an IT contractor working in big tech. All right, and I won't say the company name, but Kevin has started to practice Falun Gong 3 years ago, So 30 years and 3 years. So wanted to, but I really, after talking to them, I really see some similarities. So let's hear from Kevin what Falun Gong brought to him.
My energy is much different. My thinking is much better. I'm a better person. Work and all those things are much better. I can go to work and not be stressed out and, things like that. And I'm much more better with people, So, yeah, it's been a very profound difference in my life.
So how did Kevin got to know about Falun Gong and why he started practicing?
I first got a flyer at a supermarket. And so, but I really didn't look at the flyer at the beginning. I just sort of put it on the shelf. But I noticed in the park nearby where I live, there were practitioners there when I would walk my dog in the park. And after about 3 times of seeing them, I knew this was something I wanted to learn because I just felt so good. And I just felt that it was something for me. When I finally realized that much later, I knew that I was probably predestined for this practice because it was like it was following me in a way, And so I'm very happy, that I started learning it, and that Falun Dafa is a life-changing practice of mind and body.
Yeah, so you see a lot of people when they practice Falun Gong, they really, you can notice they are calm and happy. And it's also true for another lady. She's an award-winning film producer and director in New York. She used to be in, believe it's in Australia. And she immigrated from Australia to New York, and her name is Kay Robasak. And she practiced Falun Gong for 23, 24 years.
It's been amazing. I never thought that I would be able to do the double lotus position, to have my knees in the cross-legged position, which is a way of meditating. And even doctors thought it would be impossible for me because my knees were in a very bad situation. But after a few months of Falun Dafa, I've been able to do that. I'm able to sleep better. I'm very blessed to have 2 happy, healthy children and a lovely family. And I really think that a lot of that harmony has come because of my practice of Falun Dafa and following the principles of truth, compassion, tolerance, and doing these exercises. It's really been wonderful. That's just amazing to think that I would stick with the practice for that long. But that's how powerful Falun Dafa has been. When I read the Falun Dafa book, I feel that I'm always improving myself. When I practice the exercises, I feel great in my body. I feel that my energy is improving, my positivity is improving, and it's a way that I can deal with the stress of the world. And it's been this great for 23 years, since 1998 when I found it, and I just feel so blessed to have found it and so grateful to have found this practice that's just changed my life for the better.
Yeah, and Kay, as an artist, she said she found amazing connection between spirituality and arts.
And I studied art at college, art and music, and that's always been a very big part of my life. And through Falun Dafa, I've been able to really enrich my artwork in a big way. And I've found deeper meaning and different ways to be able to present art in a way that actually benefits people. A lot of art these days presents negative messages that make people feel worse in the world, and we already have difficult time in the world all around us. But through Falun Dafa, I've learned how to put positivity and hope into my artwork, and because that gives out a positive message, a positive energy to people, and they feel it.
Yeah, so it's that those are just a sample of those hundreds, thousands of people celebrating Falun Dafa today around the world, and we have covered the celebration in San Francisco, in New York today, and also very special was what happened in Canada. In the Canada celebration, there are the parliaments. They celebrated in front of the parliament, and also in different cities around Canada. There were over 20 cities. They proclaimed today, the May 13th, as a Falun Dafa Flag Day. So what happened was in different cities, over 20 of them, they have been raising the Falun Dafa flag in front of the municipal, or local government and local communities, and they are having all kinds of celebration. So in Canada, it's one thing also very special was the Canadian Parliament members from different parties. In October 2009, they set up an organization called the Falun Gong Friends of Congress in the capital of Ottawa to focus on the persecution of Falun Gong practitioners. And one of the parliament member, Judy Skirl, she is now the president of the Falun Gong Friends of Congress. And she's really has been supporting Falun Gong and their cause for many, many years. So when our reporter interviewed her, and she said her involvement of this cause started with caring of the human rights issues in China and about Falun Gong practitioners.
Clearly, those practicing Falun Gong, Falun Dafa, were being persecuted for nothing more than their desire to have a peaceful time together to practice. I had great offense to think that China thought that that was somehow contrary to what they wanted to see their community. And when you see what's happening to many people being arrested, persecuted, put in jail for years, having their organs removed and sold, being murdered, for nothing more than wanting to promote truth and compassion and peacefulness. And it just doesn't make any sense to me as a Canadian who's grown up in a safe, free country, that any country would be able to do that to their people and continue to get away with that kind of activity.
So why indeed the CCP, the Chinese Communist Party, persecute Falun Gong? Randy Hillier, who is member of the Provincial Parliament of Ontario, he shared his thoughts.
We see authoritarian regimes must have an enemy. There must be a villain for them to mobilize the general population to despise and to hate. And again, we're seeing the same, we've seen that throughout history. The former Soviet Union, we had the kulaks, we had the bourgeoisie. In Nazi Germany, we had the Jews and the Roma. Every authoritarian regime must create a villain. Unfortunately, Falun Dafa is, the villain in the eyes of the CCP. People who are willing to speak out and live truthfully. People who are willing to live a life of not false virtue but of virtue. These are contrary to authoritarian values.
And so why, how the Western world, why the Western world should care about this issue? How this practice, which is rooted in the Chinese traditional culture, and the people who are now resisting the Chinese Communist Party's persecution, relates to the Western world?
People in Canada, people in Ontario, and throughout the Western society should look at Falun Dafa with this particular view, in my estimation, is back in the 70s when Canada formalized its relationship with the Communist Chinese Party and opened up diplomatic. What we told ourselves why we should do this, why we should embrace and engage with a communist authoritarian regime, was that our influence would cause them to become like us. That's what we were all told. That's what we were all led to believe. Of course, the exact opposite has happened. And that is very clear in spades in the last 2 years. We have adopted a more communist Chinese party policies. We've adopted the lockdowns. We've adopted the authoritarian. We've adopted legislation to suppress dissent. So instead of being the country where many Chinese and Falun Dafa practitioners came to Canada for freedom and a place to speak of freedom, we see we are losing those very things that they came here for. So Falun Dafa can help re-energize and help Canadians understand the importance of speaking out and being good.
And for the parliament member, Judy Scroll, she said actually her understanding of Falun Gong grew from human rights issue to its core principles and how it's impacting the Canadians and the whole world.
I was supportive of Falun Dafa organization for many years. It's a peaceful organization, just wants to promote truth and peaceful compassion, the kind of fundamental values that I believe in. So why wouldn't I be there to stand with the group? Because those are three elements that I believe everybody, whether they're part of the Falun Dafa movement or not, the world would be a better place. I mean, those are the kinds of principles and values that make a country strong and make their people strong. And I just wish we could get more people practicing those values. If we all lived like that, we wouldn't have the kind of pain and suffering that is existing in our communities. And I think our whole world would be better off.
So how do they see the struggle of the Falun Gong practitioners facing the persecution of the Chinese Communist government?
There will always be a battle between good and evil. Truth will win. Good will win, as long as good people continue to always stand up and speak out. And that's what Falun Dafa has been doing relentlessly. And you cannot defeat the truth. You cannot defeat good unless, the only way you defeat good is that old adage of good men and women staying silent, being quiet. That's what allows evil to grow. I view it as an obligation. I view it as a responsibility. I view it as if I am not willing to speak out for freedom for my children, for myself, and for others, who is going to stand and speak for the freedom for my grandchildren? This is something that we all have to do.
I'm happy to be part of this community. I'm happy to be able to be a voice and to be able to be supportive and continue to applaud each and every person that has the courage to stand up and continue to practice what they believe in, which will make Canada a better place.
Yeah, so that's, the story we bring to you. I saw our friends here book saying, I need to look into this Falun Gong. So that's what a lot of the bystanders of those events, when they saw how peaceful, how gracious these people are, how passionate they are, and then comparing to what people practicing the same meditation exercise in China being persecuted, their reaction is, I wanted to look into that.
Yeah, actually. After 30 years being introduced in the public and 23 years against the persecution, Falun Gong is spreading over the world. In the meantime, Falun Gong practitioners started this quit the CCP movement in China. Mm-hmm. Basically, they just talk to and convince Chinese people to quit from either the party or the Youth League, which is kind of a subsidiary of organization of the CCP, and the so-called Young Pioneer, that kind of organization. Okay, so until now, nearly 400 million people, hear me out here, 395 million people has quit the Chinese Communist Party and its associated organizations. Of course, those apply only to adults. Okay, so you're talking about out of 1.4 billion people, this is nearly close to 40% of the Chinese population. So that's what they did, completely peaceful, okay, peaceful effort, day in and a day out in the last 23 years. Nearly 400 million people has quit from the party.
Yeah, and also what's really relates to things I think on top of minds of a lot of people right now. For example, the persecution of the Uyghurs and underground church people, and also the lockdown, right? The unlawful actions by the Chinese Communist Party, all kinds of things. But actually, these really rooted from the persecution of Falun Gong. Because of Falun Gong, there's really no reason for them to crack down. So they made up all kinds of the excuses, and they just break down all the system, right? The system of operating this society normally, right? Or the justice system, and they mobilize everything to crack down Falun Gong, which is unlawful. And that created precedents for the persecution on many other people in China, including the Uyghurs, right? Including right now the people who were locked down. Just lawless. And it really started from Falun Gong's persecution, because these are good people without any agenda, except for trying to be a better person, healthier person.
Yeah. So besides the quit the CCP movement, Falun Gong practitioner, they draw from the culture, draw from the tradition. They started independent media, and then they started performance. They started the filming and the video and so on and so forth. And then they become the very strong and very strong and quiet, resistance to the CCP's spreading across the world and also inside China. They're very silent and a strong force there. So yeah, they did that completely motivated by their value, nothing more than that. There's no political agenda. They actually don't hold any political agenda. They don't seek to change regime and things like that. They only addressing issue coming in from their value, which is truth, compassion, and tolerance. If you think about that, those pretty much moral values.
Yeah, just like the parliament from Canada, right, Judy?
Right.
She said, it's just really the basic principles which she holds, and she's wishing that more people in the world can practice that, and there will be a better world. And I saw Rob saying that it's all very interesting, and I'm not a religious person, but that sounds interesting. Yeah, Rob, it's why don't you just take a look into that for yourself? Actually, a lot of people start with that.
Okay, so I just posted the book. Actually, the book is, as I said, it's all free. The exercise is all free. There's no cost associated with it. It's something that somebody says it sounds like a yoga. It's sort of like a yoga or Tai Chi, but the difference is it's a complete system. All the know-how was completely explained in the book. So it's something that is really worth looking into. And so today, because of this event in New York, right, we just feel this is a good opportunity to look deeper into this exercise for you to understand this good thing from China.
Yeah, and just talk about why we actually started to become journalists is because there wasn't any objective media report of such kind of a human rights abuse in China 23 years ago.
Yeah. And then Lucy, you asked that we have to look into this. It sounds like a fast food version of Tai Chi Chuan, or is there more of a religious aspect to Falun Dafa? Actually, it's a good question. If you have to look into this yourself. Okay, it's probably neither. All right, it's a mind and body exercise. It's a physical exercise with a clear principle and a theory behind it. That's what it is.
Yeah, there is a more Tai Chi Chuan more just purely almost just movements.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Falun Dafa, Falun Gong has more inner side of it.
Yeah. Okay, that will be all for tonight, and thank you for being with us, and with our sharing of this, our knowledge in this exercise. And wish you have a great night and a great weekend. And we'll see you next week.
Be safe and take care.
Take care.
Yeah, we'll see you next week.
All right.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.